All right, now let's talk about string. So there are two ways you can use string in JavaScript. One is double quote, one is single quote. Or you can also use backticks. So I'm going to explain to you how are these working, what is the difference between all of these. So for example, if you see here, we have single string where you can use a single quote, and this will also display output as a string. Or you can use double quote. Now the question is where to use single quote and where to use double quote. This comes when you're writing a string like, for example, here, let's learn JavaScript. And here you already have a single quote between T and S. And if you use single quote outside, JavaScript is confused because he will think, and if you use single quote outside, JavaScript will be confused because JavaScript will think the single quote starting the string and the next single quote is ending the string. And now what's happening between the next quote, JavaScript doesn't know. Okay, to avoid that, we use double quote outside so that we can use single quote inside. Similarly, if you want to have a double quote in your string, for example, here, do you want to learn JavaScript? Yes. Then you use single quote outside. So you can swap single quotes and double quotes. Don't use both in the same sentence. So let me show you with an example. So for example, I take a function node here and I type here message dot, or maybe just I take a variable. I can type string is equivalent to hello code and compile. All right. This is a very simple string which I can display. For example, I don't have to use this as a restrictive word for the string. I can use sample string. And then I can give this to payload. So when I click on done and deploy, let's take a debug as well and bring it to the output. It will display my string hello code and compile with a double quote outside because it's a string. It shows here a double quote. I can also do the same using double quote. And this will display me the same result. Hello code and compile. Now let's say I want to write a sentence which has a single quote inside. Okay, let's go back to single quote and I would say let's learn JavaScript. And you can see that already I have a problem in my string because here JavaScript thinks the string starts here and it ends here. But this is not a string for me. I'm not ending the string here. I want this as a character in my sentence. In this case, to avoid such problem, you use double quote outside. And then this will be happy. Now JavaScript is happy and I can deploy my code. I can have my string outside. But in case if you want to show something, I can take another example. Let's call it 1, copy, paste 2. And I'd say, do you want to learn JavaScript? And you want to say yes. So I put here, yes, I want to learn JavaScript. And again, you notice JavaScript has a problem understanding the string. But I want this double quotes in my string output. In this case, what's happening here? JavaScript thinks here the string start, here it ended, and again it start here and ended here. And in between, JavaScript doesn't know what is this yes. It's not declared anywhere. So to avoid that, here we use single quote outside. And this will solve our problem. And now if I want to display that, let's call it 2 here. Done, deploy. I have my string output. Do you want to learn JavaScript? Yes. Okay. So that's the difference between using single quote and double quote. Based on what is present in your string output, you can use the other code to display that. Okay. Interestingly, there is another way you can use it. You can use backticks. Backticks will also allow you to display your string very easily without any problem. For example, I want to display both of these now with backticks. I can do that very easily. Just use backticks, one at the beginning and one at the end. Similarly, one in the beginning and one at the end. And this will also give me both the outputs. Let's start with the first one. Deploy. You can see that it's perfectly same as the last one. And if I display the second one, this will also work. So you can either use single quote, double quote, or if you don't want to change, then you can just use backticks. This will also work. Interesting part is using backticks, you can also display the string in a strange format, which I'm going to show you now. For example, I have var sample string. Let's learn JavaScript. This is my first variable. I want to display that in a string. For example, let's see this example first. Here I have a variable called language, and it has a value JavaScript. And I want to display, let's learn this as my variable language here. And this you can do by using backticks. But here I have a $sign and this parenthesis in which I'm displaying my variable. But do not worry about that. This is just a way to represent a variable as a string in your payload. You don't necessarily have to follow that. But this is an interesting way to display your string, because now you can display the string and the variable which has the string value in one line. Okay, there are multiple ways to do that as well, but this is also one of the functions which I want to highlight that you can do using backticks. Okay, so this was about string double quote or single quote. We can also do the next slide in this video, which is about escape character. So sometime if you want to display some character, you can also do that using backslash. For example, if you go back to this example, and let's switch back to single quote here. Oh, here would be double quote. Oh yeah, let's do single quote here. And now I will just comment that. If I want to have this character as well, instead of using double quote, another way is I can, before this character, I can type backslash. And this will tell JavaScript the character which follows my backslash is a literal character, but not end of the string. So this will also work for me. So if I now, let me just verify that, it's a string 1. And if I deploy it, this will also work. Let's learn JavaScript, okay? Because I use backslash here, which means the next character is just a literal character. So this will also work in your case if you want to display a string. Interesting part is if you put backslash and n, this will bring the rest of the string into a new line. For example, I call it as second new line, and here I put backslash and n. And now if I display the output of this, you will see how it looks like. It's a new line, and if I click on that, you will see it's going into the next line. Okay, so backslash and n will give you a new line. Just a backslash will give you the benefit of using next character as a literal character. Okay, this is important part when you're dealing with strings or when you're reading someone else's codes and you're understanding what is happening. So make sure you know all the characters which you're using in your string, and you know the little ticks and tricks of and you know little tips and tricks to use the string. So this is another example of using I'm a backslash. So if you can see that this backslash will tell the JavaScript to use next backslash as a literal character. Okay, that's how you can see that here. So this was about escape character and strings. Don't worry, I have some exercise in the end, which you will be doing to practice these commands. So far, if you're practicing along with the video, which is great. Otherwise, you have some practices in the end, some quiz as well, which you can do that to learn more about that. Okay, so see you in the next video to talk about numbers.